Joseph Morales from Black Film and TV. Hey guys, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Good,
All right.
good, man.
So I want to start off with you, DeVaughn. Obviously, you're playing your dad. You've been, you've acted before, but how special is it playing this role? And did you grow up playing basketball at one point or another? To even, or do you have to, retrace your steps to learn the game again?
Yeah, because I kind of steered away towards from basketball when I was in college. I focused on academics. I got a scholarship to a couple of schools to play basketball, but I also got academic scholarships. So I knew growing up that I always wanted to act. I was the type of kid that was a class clown. So I got in quite a bit of trouble when I was younger, always spoke out of turn. So I just knew I had to showcase, the silliness that I inherently had in me. And so when I went to college, I majored in television production and business finance. So I had 2 degrees. I had a BFA and BA. But what brought me back to basketball, I've done a variety of roles, did The Bodyguard when I was younger. My very first movie was To Sleep with Hanger. I did that when I was 5. So transitioning and finally getting that sort of, I feel like this role is, a catapult for me in my adult career. I feel like this is where I can really showcase my talents because, I can hoop. And it's like a bike for me. I just have to warm up the legs and, try to, master my dad's shot because it's a little bit different from mine. So, wait, damn, what was the question again?
Just prepare for the row and so forth. But we'll come back because there's more questions I want to ask. But for Tracy and Jason, you're playing these characters that everybody's familiar with. We know what happened to Jack. And for you, Tracy, and for either one of you can answer that. How much did you grow up watching the Lakers, knowing the Lakers, and then getting into this story? And did and as all of you guys are actors, do you take stock into the characters you're playing to embody the roles you're playing? Tracy?
Well, I'm a little different boat than these 2 gentlemen because I'm older, and so I remember this period. I'm born in 65, so I was 14 years old during this time period, and I remember the Showtime Lakers, the birth of the Showtime Lakers very well. I probably didn't watch much NBA before this period of time, but Magic and Bird, certainly that rivalry hooked me as a kid, and I live in Chicago. I'm a Michael Jordan fan, but you couldn't be a casual sports fan and not take on the Lakers, take that in, be aware of what was going on. Now, the story of McKinney was new to me. I didn't know it until I got the offer to do this. So I did not know McKinney's story, and it was a really compelling, interesting, sad, complicated story about this gentleman, and I was excited to get a chance to play it. Of course, because not a lot of people remember Jack McKinney, there wasn't an obligation to try to do Jack McKinney or replicate his personality. I could just play the scenes that were written on the page, and they were written so beautifully. His arc across the series was so beautiful and so understandable for me. It was just a pleasure just to show up and put on my wig and my costume and go out and play the scenes with these great actors.
And Jason, obviously you're playing Paul. I remember Paul
Westhead.
Westhead.
Yeah.
from obviously from the Phoenix Suns, but obviously there's a backstory here.
That's Paul Westfall, 2 different guys. Paul Westhead and Paul Westfall are 2 different men.
You see, correction. So
yes, yes.
Saying that now, how much did you go into obviously knowing his background, and did you play the sport? Did you know about the Lakers back then?
Yeah, I'm born in '80, and so I grew up with the Showtime Lakers, but I was kind of aware of them in the late '80s, and I knew nothing about Paul Westhead. I knew zero. I played basketball growing up, but I think to most people, history has left it that Pat Riley is the coach of the Showtime Lakers. That's the association. So I think to dig into this kind of intricate story of loyalty and disloyalty and backstabbing between these coaches at the beginning of this, and it is sort of like there's a fight for who gets to carry the baton of this team. It was really cool to explore, and I actually wasn't worried at all about trying to honor any preconceptions about Paul Westhead or anything like that, because I don't think there were many.
Now, it's interesting. Obviously, we mentioned Pat Riley, and obviously some people credit him to Showtime and so forth. But, as I read on, it was Norm Nixon who wanted to make sure that, Paul and Jack got the credit that they deserve for introducing their style and so forth. And for you, DeVaughn, what kind of conversation did you have with your dad in regards to like the time period then? Was he around on set to say, hey, this is what they got right or so forth? And, his feeling, because, this is from what the episodes I've seen, is there was some animosity and friendship. And that's all happens when in any sport, when there's a new guy in the position you're already at.
Exactly. So I would say, I picked my dad's brain quite a lot, and I asked him who were some of his favorite coaches. And Tracy Letts brilliantly plays Jack McKinney, and he said he's responsible. Pat Riley adopted what he had already implemented. So all the credit due. And, if the injury hadn't happened, it would be a completely different story. So all credit due, and mad respect to Jack McKinney. Paul, he was an assistant, and both of them worked. I mean, they had a very symbiotic relationship, my dad said. So like they both fed off of each other, gave each other ideas, and I mean, obviously helped coach us to NBA championship the rookie year of Magic Johnson, and Magic had Kareem and Coop and all of these huge brute forces, to make that even happen. I mean, like Tracy mentioned before, I wouldn't have no shit about coaching. If I had Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like the highest scorer of all time on my team, I think I would have won some championships too. So, it definitely helped, but the style of basketball changed. And I think that when you look at the NBA now, it's way more fast-paced. It's run and gun. Steph Curry changed the game. Every kid wants to shoot a three. So I feel like everybody is a student of the past. And I think that every year the NBA, it just gets better, more challenging, and done with that thought.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure speaking with you guys. Take care of yourselves and stay safe.
All right. Thank you, sir.